On the day Lena Hart lost her job, the rain stopped pretending to be light. It fell hard and honest, like a truth you can't dodge. She stood under the cafe's awning with a cardboard box in her arms and watched the last open sign get peeled off the glass. A key turned. The door clicked. The life she knew ended with a soft sound that still felt loud. Lena told herself not to cry. She was 26, not 6. Tears would not bring back the warm smell of butter and coffee. Tears would not pay rent. She hugged the box close until the edge bit her fingers, breathed in the wet air, and walked away. The street was a gray ribbon. Cars hissed past. Buses sighed. She kept her head down and counted steps from one cracked paving stone to the next. She had always liked counting. Numbers made the world feel tidy, even when it wasn't. 47 steps to the corner. 32 more to the bus stop. Then the bus came late, because of course it did. Home sat in a narrow row of houses with the same small garden and the same stubborn fence. The roof tiles glistened. A blue plastic chair stood outside like a guard who had given up. Lena pushed the door and called, "I'm back," in a voice that tried to be bright. Her mother was at the table with a pile of papers. She looked up quickly and then made her face kind. "How did it go?" Mom asked, hope already preparing to be brave. "They closed," Lena said. "Just like that. Notice on the window. We all got boxes." Her father came from the front room, holding the remote like it was a tool he could fix life with. He was a big man who had become softer around the middle, but his laugh could still fill a space. "Ah," Dad said. "Business people and their sharp pencils. It's not you. You're good at what you do. You'll land." Lena smiled because he needed her to. "I always land." Maya, her younger sister, sat on the sofa, feeding her baby. She looked up with eyes that saw too much and never lied. "Sit," Maya said. "You look like a wet biscuit." Lena put the box down and sat. The baby, warm and small, hiccuped and frowned, then returned to the serious work of milk. "What now?" Mom asked, her voice gentle but tight. "Job center tomorrow," Lena said. "Then I'll ask at the bakery near the station. They always look stressed." "Stress means business. Stress means underpaid," Maya muttered. Then she softened. "You'll find something, Len. But if you can, don't grab the first thing that hurts you." "Bills don't wait," Dad said, half to himself. Lena looked at the papers on the table. "What's late?" Mom tried to cover the top sheet with her hand. "Just the usual. We're fine." They were not fine. They were the kind of fine that meant juggling due dates and praying for no surprises. Lena knew this. It had been true for a long time. She looked at the baby and felt the old promise rise in her chest. Keep going. Make it work. Do not be the reason the roof leaks. That night she lay on her bed and stared at the ceiling. The room smelled of laundry powder and old dreams. She opened her phone and typed, "Jobs near me," and scrolled until the words turned into soup. Then she typed, "How to be okay when you are not okay," and got quotes from strangers and pictures of sunsets. She put the phone face down. She told herself again not to cry. One tear came anyway. It left a cold path to her ear. She wiped it away and slept like someone holding their breath. The job center was a long white room with chairs that made your back behave. Posters told you to be positive in bright fonts that felt too cheerful. Lena took a number and sat between a man who smelled of rain and a woman in a suit that was too tight. When her number lit up, she went to a desk where a woman with kind eyes and tired hands waited. "Name?" the woman asked. "Lena Hart." "Experience?" "Cafe work." "Customer service." "I can carry 5 plates at once and remember orders by the sound of a person's shoes." The woman smiled a small, real smile. "That's a skill." Lena shrugged. "It pays for bread." They looked through listings together. "Warehouse nights," the woman said. "Pay is decent, but hours are rough." Lena pictured herself in a big cold space under blue lights. She shook her head. "Care home kitchen?" "I can ask," Lena said. "But they usually want someone with a badge." The woman scrolled more. "There's this." She turned the screen. "Companion. Private home. 6-month contract. No experience listed." "Companion?" Lena asked. The word felt old. It made her think of novels and walking by rivers. "You'd keep someone company," the woman said. "Read. Talk. Keep a diary of the day. There will be a care team for medical needs." "What's wrong with him?" Lena asked, then flushed. "I mean, what is his condition?" "Quadriplegic. Car accident. Family has means." The woman lowered her voice. "They will expect good manners and punctuality. And discretion." Lena's stomach dipped. She knew how to carry plates and how to make customers laugh. She did not know how to be in a world of machines and pain. You won't be alone, the woman said, reading her face. There will be nurses. You'd be company. You're good with people. I can hear it in how you speak. Lena looked at the listing again. 6 months. Good pay. No experience required. It felt like a door that had opened in a wall she hadn't even known was there. I'll take the interview, she said, before she could talk herself out of it. Good, the woman said. She printed the details. Grant a house. Cassandra Blake. 10 in the morning, tomorrow. Lena took the paper and said thank you. Outside, the sky was a bright, careless blue. She walked home with her head full of rooms she had never seen. That evening, Lena stood in front of her small mirror and made her face practice being calm. She chose a simple skirt and a soft sweater. She took her favorite tights from the drawer, dark blue with a tiny ladder line she could hide if she was clever. She ironed slowly. The iron hissed like a cat. Maya knocked and came in without waiting. What are we wearing? This, Lena said. Is it to me? It is you, Maya said. And you are fine. I don't know how to talk to rich people. Like people, Maya said. If they don't behave like people, that's their problem. Lena laughed, then sobered. What if I say the wrong thing? You will, Maya said. Then you'll say something right. You always do. Keep your voice steady, Mum called from the kitchen. And don't tell them your whole life. I won't, Lena said. She put her coat on and took it off twice. When she finally kept it on, she felt like she was stepping into another version of herself, one that knew how to stand a little taller. In bed, she searched what does a companion do and how to speak to someone with spinal cord injury. The articles were long. The words were hard. She learned a few key rules. Let the person lead. Don't grab the chair. Ask before you help. Listen. Don't pretend to understand pain you do not feel. She closed the tabs when her brain buzzed. She set her alarm and placed it face down like a promise. Morning came too fast. Lena ate toast she couldn't taste and checked the bus time 6 times. The bus was 3 minutes late. She stood while it rattled, knees locked, breath counting the stops. When she got off, the air smelled of damp hedges and clean stone. Granta House looked like a postcard that was trying to make you jealous. The driveway curved. The lawn was the kind of green that must be watered by money. Lena rang the bell. A camera blinked. The door opened to a woman carved from calm. She had a pearl at each ear and a cardigan the color of clear sky. Ms. Hart, the woman asked. Yes, Lena said. Lena. Cassandra Blake. The woman stepped back. Do come in. The hall smelled faintly of beeswax and good soap. It had a high ceiling and a staircase that made you think of dresses that swish. On the walls were photographs in frames that didn't brag. Lena saw a man in black tie, smiling with other men who also wore black tie. She saw the same man on a mountain, goggles pushed up, face flushed from cold and speed. He looked like a person who didn't know how to lose. Cassandra noticed Lena looking. My son, she said, her voice even. Before the accident. Lena nodded. He looked happy. She wanted to say alive, but swallowed the word. Of course he was alive. He was down the hall. We'll sit first, Cassandra said. Then I'll have you meet him. They went into a room with tall windows. It was both comfortable and careful. There were books. There was a piano. There were also machines that hummed softly, and a chair with a motor that looked strong and patient. Tea? Cassandra asked. She did not wait for an answer before pouring. She handed Lena a cup on a saucer so thin it made her nervous. Tell me about your last job. I worked at the Buttered Bun, Lena said. I took orders. I made regulars feel seen. I can tell when someone needs to be left alone and when they need to talk. People like to tell me things. I don't know why. That is useful, Cassandra said. We have nurses for the medical work. We want company. We want someone who can keep him engaged without being overbright. He hates cheerfulness for its own sake. I do too, Lena said, then tensed. I mean, fake cheerfulness. The kind that feels like a cheap balloon. Cassandra's mouth almost smiled. Yes, that kind. The door opened. A man entered with a fast, friendly step. He had kind eyes and a tie he had already pulled loose. Thomas Blake, he said, holding out his hand. You must be Miss Hart. Welcome. Lena, she said. His hand was warm and sure. He looked like a man who had been trained never to show worry in public. Shall we? Cassandra asked, after the smallest pause. He's ready. They moved to the back part of the room. The chair was positioned to face the light. The man in it had the same sharp jaw as the man in the photos, but the energy was quieter now, more contained. His hair was shorter. His eyes were very clear. When he looked at Lena, it felt like being scanned for secrets. Adrian, Cassandra said, softening around his name. This is Miss Hart. Lena, Lena said. And then, because silence can turn heavy too fast, I brought biscuits. Adrian's eyebrow moved half a centimeter. Bribery. Excellent start. Custard creams, Lena said. I tested 4 brands. These are the best. Did you test them today? He asked dry. Last week, she said. Science takes time. Thomas gave a small laugh. Cassandra did not. Adrian looked at the box as if deciding whether it was a trap. I can talk, Lena said, or sit quietly. I can read out loud if you like. I can also lose at chess with grace. Can you put the remote back where you found it? Adrian asked. No, Lena said. But I can learn. For a moment, the corner of his mouth lifted. Cassandra sat, hands folded. Thomas leaned on the back of a chair as if he were watching a match and did not want to shout advice. Lena stood with her cup and tried to keep her shoulders from climbing toward her ears. What do you want from this job, Miss Hart? Cassandra asked. Money, Lena said, then winced. And meaning, she added quickly. In that order because the world is rude. But I will show up. I am good at showing up. Thomas nodded, thoughtful. What are you not good at, he asked. Ironing, Lena said. Patience with people who are rude to waiters. Pretending I know things I do not. Adrian watched her closely. Are you afraid of me? I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing and hurting you, Lena said. And I'm afraid of doing the wrong thing and hurting you. I'm not afraid of you. The room went a little quieter, like a person holding their breath. Adrian blinked slowly, then turned his head to the window. We can train skills, Cassandra said, after a moment. We cannot train that. They talked about hours. They talked about a diary of the day. They talked about reading and films and the garden path that had been made wide enough for wheels. They did not talk about pain, but it sat in the room like a cat that had decided to live there whether you liked it or not. A nurse came in to check a machine and gave Lena a nod that said hello and also said don't worry, you'll learn. He had an easy way with objects and people. Evan, he said. Day nurse. Good to meet you. Lena, she said. Adrian asked her what books she liked. She said she enjoyed all sorts, then corrected herself. No, that's not true. I like stories with people who feel real and also stories that make me laugh. I'm not smart enough for some books and too stubborn for others. Honesty is refreshing, Adrian said. We should bottle it. Sell it to people who write memoirs. He asked what she did when she was not working. She said she watched films and drew patterns on scraps of paper and walked in the same small circle of town. He asked if she liked that circle. She said she didn't mind it. He looked at her as if he could tell when a person was lying to herself. Can you start Monday? Cassandra asked at last. Lena felt a relief so strong, she almost sat down. Yes, she said. I can. 6 months, Cassandra said, like a statement and a question. 6 months, Lena said, repeating it back like a promise she did not understand yet. Thomas stood and came forward to shake her hand again. Welcome, he said. We will make this work. Adrian looked out at the garden and said nothing. Lena put the box of biscuits on a low table and hoped someone would eat one when she left. Outside, the air felt cold and new. She walked to the bus stop without seeing the houses. When the bus came, she sat and let herself smile into the window. She heard Maya's voice in her head. Don't grab the first thing that hurts you. This felt like grabbing the first thing that scared her. It felt right. Neil called while she walked from the stop. He ran a lot, so his calls always came with the sound of wind. How was your day, he asked. You free for a run later? Good for the head. I had an interview, Lena said. For what? Companion to a man with a spinal injury. A private home. Neil whistled low. That's heavy. You sure? No, Lena said. But I want to try. 6 months, he asked. Yes. That's good, he said, and she could hear him smiling. In 6 months, I'll be ready for the half marathon. We'll celebrate. Lena watched a pigeon walk like a tiny mayor along the pavement. It's not about me celebrating, she said, but softly, so he did not hear. At home, Mum hugged her with both arms in her cheek. Dad kissed the top of her head. Maya lifted the baby into Lena's arms and said, You did it. The baby smelled like milk and blankets. Lena felt something in her chest let go of a knot. That night she could not sleep. She got up and stood at the window. The streetlights made small yellow pools on the road. A fox moved with sly care along the fence. She thought of the tall windows at Granta House and the man in the chair looking at the sky. She whispered into the quiet room, "I will show up." Monday came with a bright, cold sun. Lena arrived 10 minutes early and pretended she had planned it that way. The door opened before she knocked. Cassandra nodded at her watch and said, "Punctual," like a compliment and a contract. They reviewed the schedule at the kitchen table. Breakfast at 9. Occupational therapy at 10. Reading at 11 if wanted. Outside at noon if the weather allowed. Film after lunch. Rest at 2. Physiotherapy at 4. The day was a puzzle with pieces that had to fit even when the picture did not make sense. Lena washed her hands and dried them carefully on a towel that felt like a cloud. She stood in the doorway of the sitting room and waited until Adrian turned his head. "Morning," she said. "I brought the biscuits back. I thought if I took them home my family would eat them, and then I'd be fired for theft." "An honest thief," Adrian said. "We'll note it in the diary." A light played across the floor. The garden outside looked like a picture. Lena poured tea and set it where he could reach it. She moved a lamp 2 inches and saw his face relax half a breath. "Better?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "You have good eyes." "I also have bright tights," she said, lifting her skirt hem a little. "They are my brand." He glanced and shook his head once. "Unforgivable. Everyone needs a flaw," she said. They started small. She told him about a new shop on High Street that sold only olive oil and had names for each one. He told her about a man at his old firm who wore the same expensive watch as everyone else and thought the sameness made him special. They both smiled without showing teeth. Evan came, kind and steady, and did the work of helping a body move where it did not want to move. Lena stood back when she should and stepped forward when asked. She learned how to fold a blanket without tugging, how to tilt a cup to the right angle, how to watch a face and know when a joke could help and when it could not. At noon, the clouds had moved, and the winter sun touched the terrace. Lena asked, "Outside?" "If you promise not to sing," Adrian said. "I only sing as punishment," she said. She guided the chair along the path. The motor hummed low like a polite bee. The garden had bare branches and serious roses. The air was clean and thin. Lena read from a novel, and her voice found a calm speed. Adrian closed his eyes, not asleep, just listening. When she paused, he said, "Don't stop because I closed my eyes. I'm still here." "I know," she said and read on. He stopped her once to say the book had a lazy metaphor. She agreed. He stopped her again to say the line about the river in winter was wrong. She asked what it should say. He said, "It should say the river sounds like glass trying to remember water." She held that sentence in her hands and turned it over like a smooth stone. After lunch, they argued gently about films. He told her to learn the difference between sweet and good. She told him he had 3 superhero box sets. He said that was evidence of a bad past self. She said every past self is a teacher. Cassandra passed through like a quiet bird. Thomas called from a train and said he'd be late. The house had a rhythm Lena could feel in her bones. When she left at the end of the day, she did not want to. In her little car, she sat for a minute and watched the sun on the stone. She remembered the photographs in the hall of Adrian on a mountain and in black tie. She thought about the man by the window and the way he squeezed a joke dry and then let the last drop be real. She felt scared and also steady. Those feelings can live together. She had not known that before. At home, Maya asked, "How was he?" "Not a saint," Lena said. "Thank God." "Good," Maya said. "Saints are boring." Neil texted a photo of his running shoes and a row of lightning bolt emojis. Lena sent a smile and put her phone away. Mom made stew, and Dad told a story about a neighbor's cat that kept knocking on their door like a bill collector. They laughed. It felt good to be ordinary. Before bed, Lena opened a small notebook and wrote, "Show up. Don't pretend. Ask before you help. Laugh once a day." She added one more line, 6 months. Do not waste them. She didn't know yet what those words would come to mean. She only knew that a door had opened in a wall she had not known she could push. She had stepped through. The next morning, she did it again. And again the day after that. The calendar on the wall had neat squares. She didn't notice the 6th one had a tiny dot. Not yet. For now, there was tea at 9, a book at 11, a walk at noon if the wind was kind, a film at 1, a rest at 2, and the slow, careful practice of being 2 people in a room who would learn how not to be strangers. Lena did not think of herself as brave. She thought of herself as someone who tries. But sometimes trying is how bravery looks when it puts on a simple sweater, smooths its skirt, and goes to work. The second week began with quiet rain and a new kind of alertness. By now, Lena knew where to put her bag so it didn't take up space. She knew which cupboard hid the mugs with thick lips and which drawer had the spoons that didn't clink too loud. She knew the house liked soft voices in the morning and a little laughter after lunch. The days had a shape. She followed the shape, careful not to trip it. On Tuesday, she noticed the calendar. It hung on the sitting room wall near the bookcase. Cream paper, neat squares, thin gold lines. The kind of calendar that made you want to write tidily. Each box held small words in careful ink. OT. Point GP. Names of visitors. Times. A note that said, piano tuning, even though no one had played the piano in a long time. Her eyes drifted over the week, then over the next. In the sixth square from the day she stood there was a tiny mark. Not a circle, not a word, just a dot of ink, no bigger than a seed. She told herself it was nothing. A slip of the pen. A mistake. She stepped back and made tea. The dot did not move. At 10, the occupational therapist arrived with a gentle knock and a smile you believed. At 11, Lena read for a while and then stopped when the light grew hot in the window. At noon, the clouds returned and the day became softer again. The house hummed in its usual way, but the tiny mark on the calendar would not leave her mind. It was like a thought she could not unthink. After lunch, Cassandra asked for a word in the kitchen. Only a minute, Lena. She stood by the counter with both hands flat on the marble, as if the stone could steady her. Her pearls were small and simple. Her face was calm in the way of someone who has practiced calm for a long time. Of course, Lena said, drying her hands. You are settling well, Cassandra said. You have good instincts. He listens to you without bracing. Thank you, Lena said, not sure where the thanks should land. Cassandra looked at the doorway and then at the floor. There is something we should make clear to you, she said. It is the reason the contract is 6 months. Lena's fingers tightened on the towel. She thought of money and schedules and staff. All right. Cassandra's voice became gentler but also flatter, as if she had pressed it with an iron. 6 months is a promise we made to our son, and that he made to us. At the end of that time, he intends to go to Switzerland. He intends to use the law there to end his life. The room changed shape. The fridge hummed too loud. The kettle clicked itself off though no one had turned it on. Lena felt the towel in her hands and did not know what to do with it. I see, she said, though she did not. I'm sorry. We do not tell you this to burden you, Cassandra said. We tell you so you understand why we want these days to be days, not hours to be crossed off. She swallowed. We are not asking you to change his mind. We are asking you to make his time with us feel like life. Lena nodded. She kept nodding because words were not ready yet. Does he want me to know? No, Cassandra held her gaze. He did not want anyone to know, not at first. But secrets make rooms heavy. We told his father's sister. We told the lawyer. We told Evan, of course. We tell you now because you are here, and because he has not looked at the morning like a stranger these last few days. Lena thought of the tiny dot on the calendar. The 6th square. Yes. Cassandra's eyes shone and steadied. We keep our promises. Lena put the towel down. Thank you for telling me, she said. I won't speak of it to him unless he speaks to you, Cassandra said quickly. Yes. They stood in the quiet for a few seconds, 2 women in a kitchen that smelled faintly of lemon and tea. Then Cassandra lifted her chin in that way she had and said, Shall we? The day carried on, because days do. Lena did the work. She read where a story needed reading. She fetched water before thirst became a problem. She learned the exact spot to park the chair so the sun would warm but not glare. She did not look at the calendar again until evening, when the house had that soft, tired feeling of a place that has tried its best. On her way out, she allowed herself one more glance. 6 squares from today, 1 small dot. The world could fit inside a mark that small and still tear you open. In her car, she did not start the engine for a full minute. Her hands were steady on the wheel. Her head was not steady at all. The rain had stopped. The driveway shone. A robin moved along the hedge like a red question mark. She took her phone from her coat pocket and called Maya. What happened? Maya asked. She always heard the shape of a thing from the first breath. They told me why the contract is 6 months, Lena said. At the end, he plans to go to Switzerland. To end it there. Oh, Maya said quietly. Oh, Lena. Lena pressed her forehead to the wheel. She asked me to make the days feel like life. She said she isn't asking me to change his mind. But what else is that? It's a mother trying not to drown, Maya said. And a sister hearing it and wanting to throw her a rope and a boat and a whole bridge. What do I do? Lena asked. She wasn't ashamed to ask. Not to Maya. You do what you do best, Maya said. You show up. You make the day count. You don't push or pretend. You find the small good things and you hand them to him like bread. Lena breathed. I can make a list, she said, because lists made storms smaller. Make 3, Maya said. And eat something. Okay. Love you. Love you too. She drove home through wet streets and yellow lights. The house smelled of onions and soap. Mom was reading a bill like it was written in a language she knew but did not like. Dad was telling the baby a story about a dog who stole a sausage and felt sorry afterward, even though he did eat the sausage. They looked up when Lena came in. How was work? Dad asked, making work sound big and brave. It was work, Lena said. She kissed his head and put the kettle on and said nothing else. This was not a weight she could add to the table that night. Neil called after his run. She could hear his breath, steady and proud. You good? He asked. I shaved 9 seconds off my split. I'm okay, she said. Tired. Sleep early, he said cheerfully. And come for a jog with me Saturday. It'll clear your head. I don't think jogging will do it, she said softly. Huh. Nothing. Well done on your split. After dinner she went to her room, put her notebook on the bed, and wrote across the top of a clean page, 6 months of reasons. Underneath, she listed simple things. A concert with good seating and an easy exit. A view that doesn't need legs. Food that makes you forget to talk. A day where you laugh for real. Someone else's celebration. An afternoon outside that feels like inside your favorite memory. She started a new page. Do not do. Do not make promises you cannot keep. Do not fill silence with noise. Do not speak for him. Do not say, I understand, about pain you do not understand. Do not bring pity into the room in your pocket. Then she opened the computer and read about spinal cord injury. She learned words that made her tongue feel heavy. She learned that pain can come with no good reason and leave the same way. She learned that small changes can help a lot. She learned to look out for things with names she could not say fast, but would learn with time. She read until the words became a wall and closed the screen. In the morning she asked Evan a question while the kettle boiled. What makes a day better for him, she said. Not the best day, just a better one. Evan smiled in that easy way that made you trust him. Less pain, less pretending, planning that he doesn't have to carry. Choice, a plan B that doesn't feel like failure. People treating him like a man, not a lesson. Can he go out? Lena asked. I mean really go out. Not just the terrace. With care and timing, Evan said. We do it. It takes energy. Sometimes it takes 10 things you don't see. But yes. What about music? Lena said. I was thinking a short concert. We could sit at the back. We could leave if it's too much. Good idea, Evan said. Check the seats. Call ahead. Plan the route from curb to chair with your eyes open. Time is meds. Carry a backup of everything. Expect to be tired the day after. I can do calls, Lena said. I can do lists. That's why this might work, Evan said. He took the kettle off before it screamed. At 11, Lena came into the sitting room with a flyer she had folded small so it did not look like a demand. There's a concert on Thursday, she said, setting it on the side table where he could see it and ignore it if he wanted. Short program. Good hall. Easy parking. I checked. Adrian looked from the flyer to her. And if it is awful? Then we leave after the first piece and you make fun of me for a week, she said. Fair. He made a small sound that might have been a laugh. You plan for exits a lot. Exits make entrances possible, she said. He studied her, then looked back at the flyer. I'll think about it. Thank you, she said, as if she had been given a gift. On Thursday morning, the sky was a hard, bright blue. At 4, the weather turned mean. Wind rose. Pressure dropped. Pain came like it was the wind's cousin. It curled Adrian in on himself and took his breath away in quiet punches. Evan adjusted medication. They waited. The clock ticked. The plan hung there like a coat on the back of a chair. Cancel, Adrian said through his teeth. Eyes shut. We can, Lena said at once. We can stay home. We can try another day. They waited 10 minutes more. Pain eased a little, not enough to make you call it kindness, but enough to make the room feel possible again. Adrian opened his eyes and nodded once. All right, he said. But one wrong look from a violinist, and we go. Agreed. The drive was quiet. Lena kept her eyes on the road, hands steady. Evan sat in the back with the bag of things that made the world bearable. Traffic moved like a line of polite ants. When they reached the hall, the usher at the door did not stare. He showed them the aisle space with a normal voice. The seats had room. The air smelled faintly of lemon polish and old velvet. It was not perfect. It was enough. The first piece was short and clear. The second had a voice. The soprano wore a blue dress and sang like someone who had learned how to carry a break in her sound without hiding it. The small catch made the song more human. It made the hall feel like a room where people lived. Lena did not look at Adrian for a long time. When she finally did, his shoulders had dropped by a fraction. His mouth had softened. His eyes were on the singer, not on the door. They stayed to the end. No one applauded too long. Outside, the night felt clean. On the drive home, they did not say much. At a red light, Adrian spoke without turning his head. "Thank you for the exit plan," he said. Lena kept her eyes on the road. "Any time," she said. He didn't use it. That, she knew, mattered more than any word he could have given her in the car. The next morning, the house was lighter by a measure you would miss if you did not live inside it. Cassandra put fresh flowers by the window and did not say why. Thomas came home early and pretended it was because of a meeting that had moved. He stood in the doorway and watched his son read for a minute longer than usual. At lunch, Cassandra touched Lena's arm for the first time. "Thank you," she said, almost in a whisper, as if gratitude might break if you said it too loud. "You're welcome," Lena said. In the afternoon, Thomas asked if they might try something simple on Saturday. "A cafe," he said. "We could all go. There's a place with tables on the pavement if the weather decides to be decent." "Let's try," Lena said. She wrote a small plan. She checked how wide the door was and if the toilets were on the same floor. She chose a time when the place would be busy enough to be alive, but not so busy as to be a test. She learned that lemon tart can heal many small wounds because she had tasted it there once and had felt better for no grand reason. On Friday night, Neil took Lena to the pub. He ordered a meal he called healthy and then ate half her chips without noticing. "How's the job?" he asked, as if asking about the weather. "It's a lot," Lena said. "It matters, right?" he said, nodding fast. "Well, I had an idea. There's a 10-kilometer charity walk next month. We could sign you up. Good cause. Good post for your page." "What cause?" Lena asked. He blinked. "I don't know. Awareness, you know. For people like your client." "Awareness is not a plan," Lena said. He shifted. "You're very serious these days." "Yes," she said. "Some things are serious." He laughed awkwardly and kissed her cheek. "You need a run," he said. "You'll feel better." She looked at his kind, simple face and loved him for being who he was, and also knew he could not stand in this with her the way she needed someone to stand. That did not make him bad. It just made this hard. On Saturday, the three of them went to the cafe. The pavement was dry. The tables were too small. The lemon tart was as good as Lena had promised herself it would be. A child stared with clean curiosity. The mother scolded the child in a rush and went red. Adrian met the child's eyes without anger. The child blinked and grinned and waved. It was nothing and it was not nothing. They did not stay long. Energy is a kind of money you have to budget. On the way back to the car, a man tried to be kind and managed to be wrong. "Good for you, mate," he said to Adrian in a loud voice, as if talking to a person in a far room. "Getting out and about. That's the spirit." Adrian's jaw tightened. He did not answer. Lena wanted to say many things and said none of them. Instead, when they were in the car, she said, "The tart was worth it." He nodded once. "Yes." On Sunday afternoon, the sky was clear enough for a short drive to the edge of town. They went to a spot where you could see fields and the line of the river. Evan checked the time. Cassandra had put a blanket in a bag as if thinking of picnics she did not name. They sat in the quiet as the light changed. No speeches. No big idea. Just air and the sound of distant birds. It was not a miracle. It was a good hour. On Monday, Lena arrived with a small sketchbook in her bag. This was not for work. It was because of something Adrian had said when she told him she used to draw. "Then buy a pencil," he had said, as if it were a simple act like breathing. So she did. At night, she traced the curve of the road to the hall from memory. She drew the cafe tables and marked where a chair could sit without anyone bumping it. She wrote seat map on a page and shaded the spots where the sound felt right. She began to draw the headland she had not yet taken him to. It felt like making a plan with her hands. That afternoon, she found Adrian looking at the calendar. He had moved closer, as if the squares were now a view. "Do you like calendars?" she asked, keeping her voice light. "They give the lie shape," he said. She stepped nearer and pointed to the square 2 days ahead. In tiny letters, she had written music in the corner, not to claim the day, but to remind herself how to hold it. In the next square, she had written outside. In the one after that, people. The dot 6 squares away sat there, small as ever, like a quiet threat. "What are those?" he asked. "Notes to myself," she said. "To keep from making the same day twice." He did not ask about the dot. She did not either. They stood there and looked at the gold lines and the small words and the space left blank. Later, as the light went soft, Thomas came in and cleared his throat in that way he had when he was about to pretend something simple was not hard. "Your aunt phoned," he said to Adrian. "She sends love. She will come down next week." He paused, then added, "She will bring the biscuits you like." "Tell her to bring the good ones," Adrian said. Thomas laughed quietly. "I will." He went out again, slower than he had come in. That night, Lena walked home the long way because she needed to think. She passed the closed cafe and did not look inside. She passed the shop that sold only olive oil and tried to guess who bought the one in the long, thin bottle in the window. She passed a charity shop with 3 wedding dresses in the glass. Someone would be happy, she thought. Someone already was. At home, Maya had left a bag of groceries by the door. There was a note on top in her big, messy hand. "You can't do this hungry." Inside was bread and milk and a bar of chocolate. On the back of the note, Maya had written, "You are allowed to cry when you are not at work." Lena did, but only a little, because Mum came in with the baby and everything became busy again. On Tuesday, the weather turned nice and then changed its mind. They did not go out. They watched a film and were both happy to be annoyed by the ending. On Thursday, they tried another short trip, this time to the library at a quiet hour. The librarian did not ask foolish questions. She showed them a table near a window and brought a stack of large print magazines, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. It felt normal. That was the point. On Friday morning, Adrian surprised Lena by asking questions about her. Not the polite kind. Real ones. "What did you want to be when you were 10? He said. "I wanted to be a person who drew patterns on shoes," she said. "I didn't know the name for that job. And now I want to make it to Thursday without making a fool of myself." "You have set the bar low." "It moves when it needs to." He nodded. "Good." In the afternoon, as rain tapped the windows, he said, "There is a place I used to run to. The headland by the old lighthouse. The view comes all at once after a long bend. I could find it with my eyes closed." He stopped there. The air moved. "We could go," he said, "if we plan it." Lena did not hide her smile. "We can plan it." She added headland to a page in her book and made a list beneath it. Permits, timing, wind, a spot to park, a place to turn, how long to be there, how long to rest after. It felt like drawing a door on a wall and then finding the handle. That night, when the house was quiet, Lena stood again by the calendar. She held her pen and thought of writing something in the 6th square. She did not. She wrote in the corners of the 5 before it instead. Light, music, outside, people, somewhere. She capped the pen and put it back carefully. On Saturday, Neil texted a picture of a medal and a flexed arm. "Smashed it," he wrote. She sent a clap emoji and felt tired of emojis. When he called, she listened to his report about hills and shoes and water stations. He asked nothing and everything in the same breath. "Come watch me race next month," he said. "If I can," she said, and knew if did more work in that sentence than he understood. On Sunday evening, before she went to bed, she took out her sketchbook and drew the calendar squares again with a pencil. She filled the first 5 with small words. She left the 6th blank. She went to sleep and dreamed of lines turning into paths and paths turning into days. Monday came and the headland plan grew into something real. Evan called the council about permits. Thomas arranged the van. Cassandra packed food and kept her hands busy so her mind didn't fly away. Lena measured time with the care of a baker. They chose a day with a kind wind. They tested the ramp twice. Before she left that night, Lena stood in the doorway and looked back at the room. Adrian was by the window. The calendar hung on the wall like a quiet promise. The flowers in the vase had started to open. She told the room what she had told herself in the car a week ago. "I will make the days count," she whispered, and did not care if anyone heard. On Tuesday, she came back and did it again. The week that followed did not give Lena or anyone else a miracle. It gave them work. It gave them small things that add up. A walk down a library aisle, a song on a short drive, 5 minutes in a chair by an open door. It gave them one good evening with friends who did not make a fuss and one bad afternoon when pain came in and slammed a door. Both counted. Both were real. Sometimes Lena caught Adrian looking at the calendar when he thought no one could see. His face in those moments was not angry. It was something else. It was a face learning how to stand in a room with a clock and not be bullied by it. She understood. She was learning the same thing. She did not touch the dot. She did not speak of it. She did not forget it either. It stayed where it was, small and heavy. She wrote tiny words around it like stitches. On a Thursday morning, as she was filling the kettle, Cassandra said, without looking up, "He laughed yesterday. In the afternoon. Real laughter." It startled me. "What did he laugh at?" Lena asked. "Evan dropped a spoon and swore in Welsh," Cassandra said, and her mouth softened. It sounded like a song. Lena smiled. "I'll ask him to do it again." "Please don't," Cassandra said, and they both laughed. Adrian saw them laughing when he came in and raised an eyebrow. "What's funny?" "Nothing," Lena said. "Everything." "Good answer," he said. In the late afternoon, when the light put a gold line across the floor, he said, "You know what I want from you?" He did not wait for her to panic. "I want you to tell me the truth. If you think something is boring, say so. If you hate a film, say so. If you don't know something, say so." "I can do that," Lena said. "Good," he said. "Then do this for me too. Buy the pencil you said you needed." "I already did," she said. He looked at her, surprised and pleased. "Show me your book," he said. She hesitated. Then she took out the sketchbook and opened it to the page with the headland path. He studied it like a map. "That bend," he said, pointing. "That's where the view hits." "I thought so," she said. "Good eye," he said. In the evening, as she closed the front door behind her, Lena thought about the 6th square again. It did not feel like a trap now. It felt like a cliff the path ran toward. She still hated it. But she no longer felt like she was walking in the dark. She had a torch. She had company. At home, Maya sent a picture of the baby wearing one shoe and one sock and no pants. "Fashion icon," the message said. Lena laughed so hard she had to sit down. Mom asked what was so funny. Lena showed her the photo, and, for a minute, everything was light again. Before bed, Lena added 3 more lines to her list. "Ask Evan what he needs from me on hard days. Tell Cassandra when a plan changes so she isn't surprised by silence. Remember Thomas is trying even when he pretends he isn't worried." She closed the notebook and pressed her hand to the cover. It felt warm. The next morning, she would make the calls needed for the headland trip. She would write down the answers. She would check the weather. She would pack the biscuits Adrian said were acceptable and not the ones he called sad bread wearing sugar. She would show up. She would keep showing up. The dot stayed where it was. The days around it filled like bowls. Some overflowed. Some cracked. Most held. Lena did not believe she could change the end of a calendar. She did believe she could change the way the days felt as they arrived. That belief was small and stubborn. It fit in her hands. She carried it with her into every room. When she slept that night, she dreamed of the headland. In the dream, she came around the long bend, and the view appeared all at once, the way views do when they are ready. In the dream, she was not alone.